Hey, you guys, you're going to want to listen all the way through this episode because we have a bovine segment. Who saw that coming? Not Kate Winslet.
You're also going to find out which five songs are turning 20 this year, and it's kind of next level magic, especially for one of them who was on the charts for 14 weeks.
Woo!
Yeah, at number one. Enjoy the show, everyone. Perfect. Good job, Sharon.
Back again for more 90s mayhem. How are you, Kel?
I am magical. Do you see my new on-air sign?
I do. I see that this on air sign is off.
Yeah. I can't light it up, Sharon. I did a test, and for our audio listeners, take a gander at our YouTube channel, if you will. I tried to light it up, and then I did a Zoom test recording,
Hmm.
and it's this. It turns out that it's my Zoom camera, which is actually an external camera, so it's not like I'm just using a camera on the computer.
Yeah.
Um, it can't handle it. It's too bright. It looks like shooting stars are coming out of my television.
So if you did it right now, like, are you able to flip it on? Like, would we go blind?
Yeah, and the funny thing is like it's not plugged in because I just unplugged because I'm like, well, this is pointless.
Well,
So
yes. And we're in a deep freeze up where we are in the Montreal area.
yeah,
And they advise us to limit our use
yeah,
of hydro, which is nice.
yeah,
Uh, during the coldest time of the year. If you could limit your use of electricity, that would be great. Okay.
yeah. I'll keep my on air sign off.
Yeah. Well, you could probably use it as a heat source if it's that
Yeah,
bright. Anyways, we've got a lot to get to, really sort of a buffet of 90s now infotainment
yeah,
that will deal with bovinophobia,
yeah,
and we'll tell you who has it.
yeah,
Some now news on one of the world's biggest superstars and how she is dealing with disrespect, which seems to be putting it in a headlock and giving it a noogie.
yeah.
Um, we've got Kelly's trivia, which will challenge you in ways that you never knew you needed to be challenged, but darn it, you will be. And a 90s rewind that'll take us back down memory lane toward the end of our favorite decade, around this time in 1998. Now, here's the quest.
Yeah,
I like abbreviating words. Here's the quest.
yeah,
Is there going to be an NSYNC reunion? Is that in the works? I know, dramatic pauses.
yeah.
Let's start there, Kel.
Let's do it.
I'm going to say yes, there is going to be one.
I do believe so. It's not been confirmed yet, but they've been going around the hole, if you will, for a while about making this decision.
Oh, yeah. Is that a term?
I don't know, but it sounded good. I think we should not have talked about golfing before we started this this recording.
Perhaps.
Yeah, that's where that comes from. But yeah, because I mean, the excitement has been for like well over a year now, I would think. It feels like it's been over a year since they did that song right together for the Trolls soundtrack. Or it must
Uh,
be coming up on one.
Better Place is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Hmm.
I can't, I think that song made my Spotify rap list because of how many times I listened to it last year.
Well, there we go. So then,
Like super high repeat,
yeah,
because I like to take it upon myself to try and do each of the five parts.
yeah.
So rewind, let's do JC's parts. Rewind, now I'm Justin. Rewind, now I'm Joey. It's super fun to be with me in a car.
It's a commitment. Yeah. So so that that's been rumbling around because of that. Then they showed up the MTV Music Awards together to present the award to Taylor Swift, I believe it was at the time. So there's just been all these rumblings, and then but Justin was going out on tour, and so he's currently out on tour, and we got a surprise as of our recording, Sharon, that um, a bit of a reunion took place because he was in Palm Desert, which we now realize is outside Palm Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And three of the other lads were at the concert. Sans Joey, who had a Broadway debut. And
Mm-hmm.
so there was a picture of the four of them, Justin, JC, Lance, and Chris. And it was funny because Justin, there's a little video on Lance's Instagram, if you go check it out, where he's like, I'm so happy to have all my boys here, or whatever. And then he's like, especially JC, because he rarely gets out of the house. And that was good. So it feels like I feel like when Justin is done the tour, maybe like I would think the next thing will be that.
I would think maybe some time with his family would make them happy.
Yeah. Well, I
Some
think that's what
quiet
I mean. Like
time.
I think after he's done his rest time,
Right.
I think the next Justin project will be to go back with his boys.
And that makes sense that he'd finish this, they'd have some time to rehearse and put something together and book some dates and cities and all that stuff. Maybe it's a condensed 4 week run with,
Yeah.
not a lot of shows, or not a lot of cities, but
Mhm.
big places where lots of people can, converge upon and get their NSYNC on.
Yeah,
How fun.
exactly. And you and I both read an article where Joey was asked what's going on. He said it's basically time to either blank or get off the bot. So,
Yes, he did say that. And he said that uh, it would be cool to be able to show their kids what it is that they did when they were kids.
yeah. Yeah.
And he also said that it would be great to do something. He said, I would love to perform with my brothers again. I miss hanging out and playing and performing with my friends and my brothers.
Yeah. And I think it would be cool as I think you and I know, well, I know, and I think we've talked about it that Joey and AJ of Backstreet Boys, they have like a thing going on where they go out and do it's like AJ and Joey or whatever, and they do stuff together. And so it'd be cool if they kind of did what New Kids on the Block did and did like a joint tour where it was like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
Mm-hmm.
How awesome sauce would that be?
No kidding.
Yeah.
Because there's room in our hearts for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have to, if we could get, Color Me Bad to open up, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Color Me Bad. I had them on the Kelly Alexander show, and I think by had them on, I had one of them, uh,
Yeah.
because they all don't speak anymore.
I think that they were a part of that 90's tour that I saw with Salt and Peppa and those
Okay.
ridiculous photos that could be anybody,
Yeah.
even though they're supposed to be with Salt and Peppa.
Yeah.
I think that the one remaining Color Me Bad dude was on that tour
Okay. Mark
and did
Calderon.
pretty well. Oh,
Is
I
it
don't
Mark?
know. I can't
Okay.
remember, Kelly. That's so many years ago.
Because I know he's still touring under the Color Me Bad banner. And actually, I do hope to get him on the show because it'd be fun. But I believe him and uh, is it? It's not Mark. Why am I forgetting the others? The Abrams is his last name. He was the lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they got into, I believe, a physical altercation. I'll
Really?
I'll say alleged, but I'm pretty sure it either happened or was about to happen, and I believe they don't uh, communicate anymore.
What would they
I
have
can't
to
believe I'm
fight
forgetting.
over?
Pardon?
What would they have to fight over?
Um,
They're supposed to be in it all for love.
yeah, I know. I know that why am I forgetting the lead singer's name? Is it because it's Abrams is his last name? I can't believe I'm forgetting this. People are screaming at me right now, but it's Mark Calderon is the other guy.
Yeah, I'm
And
finding
then uh
it happened like 7 years ago that they got into this altercation
did you find
in
it?
Syracuse.
Oh, you found it?
Well, I found something.
Yeah. I'm actually just because I want the
Brian
that's
Abrams.
it, it's Brian.
He
Yeah.
was arrested in upstate New York after shoving Mark Calderon on stage um, at the casino and resort that they were doing on that particular weekend night. Hit some sound equipment when he was knocked down and was taken to the hospital for neck and back pain.
Yeah.
He was confused by the attack. Oh, was he confused after the meds for the back pain? We'll never know.
Yeah. He
That's too bad.
I listened to an interview with him, I want to say in the last 2 years, where he like obviously I think there's probably legal things that have been involved, so he was careful as to what he said. But I also think Mark sounds like he's a nice boy. And I think didn't want to slag anybody, but just made it known that because I think the person asked them, I think it was actually Lance Bass.
Oh yeah.
Because I think he was on, I think he went on, remember his Frosted Tips uh
Yes.
podcast? I think Mark was a guest. I think that's where I heard it. And I think Lance asked him, I'm pretty sure I'm saying allegedly, but I'm 90% sure that's where I heard this interview. And he basically said like there is no chance of us getting back
Well,
together.
one of the channels that carries whatever interview clip is Dr. Phil. So maybe they went to the helpful source that is Dr. Phil.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I don't think you can get away with pushing people around in your 40s and not getting in trouble for it.
No, and I know that Brian had I think he's sober now, but
Hmm.
he had pretty intense, I believe, alcohol addiction issues.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that uh, didn't go well. But I think he's now doing what he needs to do, or at last check, he was doing what he needed to do. And I should mention that so Sam Waters was the other group member. Remember about like what like original back in the day?
With the curly hair?
Yeah, him. And
Yep.
he went on to have like a successful, and he might still be doing it. I think he produces.
Hmm.
Like and I think he's produced some like R&B folk that have been of note. And also Kevin Thornton's the one that I interviewed. Kevin's
Oh,
the one
nice.
that I had on the show because for a hot minute, um, Kevin and Mark, I believe, were uh like still good together or whatever. So I had Kevin on the show several years ago and he was really sweet also.
Well, you can tell by the photos of Brian back in the day
Yeah,
and Brian today that they are very different people.
right. Yeah.
He was, he had a lot. Well, they were a good-looking group of young men.
Yeah.
And then I think success steps in and provides you with excess, and that gets in the way and
Yeah.
has its way with you.
Yeah. I should mention, by the way, I just did a quick look on Sam and because I do want to give him his props because yeah, so he went on to write and produce for Fantasia, Kelly Clarkson, Jordan Sparks, Celine Dion,
Wow.
Whitney Houston, Leona Lewis, I should
Just a
say.
few.
Just a few. So he he's okay. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. But it's sad because it would be cool to have Color Me Bad all together. They had
Yeah.
many great songs on that album. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very fun. I remember being in the clubs, Kel.
Yeah. Do you remember when they did this thing at the Grammy Awards that I believe it was yeah, it was the Grammy Awards that year. They had Boys to Men come out on one podium
Hmm.
and then they had Color Me Bad on the other and they each did an a cappella thing.
Yeah.
It was sick.
Sick with a capital S.
Yeah.
Sick like the flu.
My better
Better
half
than
is
that.
my better half is getting over the 3 week flu.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah. Do you want to have
Wow.
a laugh? So she started to feel ill literally just after Christmas. Like I want to say the 26th or 27th. And so I have actually not kissed her in almost a month. So I've not kissed my better half, fiance, in fact, in 2025. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and she goes to me, she goes, because the other day I'm like, it's kind of crazy because we're coming on a month now almost, right? And I said, and I said, yeah, it's crazy. Like I haven't kissed you yet. And she's like, I'm willing to risk it. I'm like, yeah, says the sick one. Like,
Yeah,
no problem
yeah.
infecting me. So
See you in March.
yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Ah, good
well, are
times.
you prepared to uh, slap us with a kiss of trivia?
Yeah, good one, Sharon.
Thank
Good one.
you. Hmm.
Um, so would you like pop culture or news and politics to start?
I'll take news and politics to start.
Alrighty, I believe this one is a challenge, if you will. So
Aren't they all?
I don't know, Sharon. Sometimes you nail them right off the top here.
Well,
Sometimes you put it right, right in the hole.
okay.
Here we are.
Maybe you should kiss your fiance
Yeah, maybe I
because
should.
it's a second reference to hole.
In 1992, Black May was a protest against the government of which Asian country? I was fairly young, so I don't remember it, but you must.
Um,
Asian country is what I'm looking for. Yeah.
I want to say Korea.
Oh, that's a nice guess. No.
Thank you. Oh, thanks. What
Do
is
you
it?
want what? Do you want one more? Because I'm feeling generous.
Oh, wow. China.
No. You ready for the answer?
Yeah,
Thailand.
kind of rhymes with my last name. I should have guessed that one.
It's true.
Darn it.
All right, here we go. Pop culture.
Yeah.
What was the little patch of hair men grew under their bottom lip commonly called?
Soul Patch.
Go, girl.
Yeah, bro.
And because I need to, as we mentioned randomly, the fun cards, often get sassy. So the answer on the card, Sharon, says a soul patch, comma, groovy, exclamation mark.
Oh wow, that's a misplaced. Oh
Yeah,
well,
that,
groove. You know what? There were some like beatniks back decades earlier that would have substantiated the word groovy,
yeah,
and soul patches were pretty big at that time. I think of people in the '60s and turtlenecks and beat poets. You know,
yeah. That was the salmon colored card, anyways.
of course it was.
Of course it was. By the way, the I know you were talking about a song earlier before we started recording that you played and you hadn't listened to in a while. Oh, a song I hadn't listened to in a while, Diggable Planets from Diggable Planets.
Oh, nice,
Cool like that.
nice.
That's
What
such
was
a
the one? What was I? What was I listening to?
CeeLo Green.
Oh yeah, Bright Lights, Big City.
Yep,
That's a great song to listen to loud in your vehicle.
it's true. Do you want my surprise that I talked to you also before we started recording now? Would now be a good time to bring you the 20th anniversary?
Yes.
Okay. So Sharon, you're gonna guess. I did so five. Well, there's obviously way more than that, but there's five big songs from 2005 that are turning 20 this year.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want to guess any of the five?
I need a hint.
So I'll
Some
give you the
sort of
first one, and then maybe it'll like
okay.
put you in that place. Um, this is not in any order, by the way, but Pussycat Dolls, Don't Ya?
Oh my gosh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Gwen Stefani, Hollaback Girl.
What? That's 20 years old?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Clarkson, Since You've Been Gone.
Man, I can listen to that song any day, anytime,
Yeah.
and it works.
Yeah. Madonna, Hung Up.
Ooh,
Yeah. Yeah.
also good.
And the big song that was on the charts for 14 straight weeks at number one, it was her massive comeback in a way. Uh, it was her 16th number one, Mariah Carey, We Belong Together.
Ah, what a song.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that was her, because, I think she was coming off the whole glitter fiasco of a few years prior. I remember she had that kind of like mental, not a good time
Yeah.
place. And so I think a lot of people thought she was done for having hit singles. And then she hit us over the head with that one.
You cannot count Mariah Carey out ever
Yeah.
because
You
she's
know
that
what's great?
damn good.
But what's interesting too, because I actually put a little montage together of those five songs that I just told you about and played
Hmm.
it on the air. And somebody texted me back and said, I can't believe they're turning 20. And then the person said, these songs put a lot of today's songs to shame.
Mm,
And like, I had a think about that because, like, I don't think they're wrong.
hmm.
But then you'll get a gem like a Good Luck Babe that I think is a very good song,
Agreed.
you know?
Well written, well crafted.
Yeah.
It's a classic pop equation song,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's and that stuff works. We need to hear that stuff. It's
Yeah.
because I find with pop music anyways, it's reliable.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean that it's bad, and it doesn't mean that it's not exploring possibilities, but it's okay to take a formula of a pattern of a whatever. They still have to write the song. They still have to write the music that goes with it,
Mhm.
but in a way that taps into our memory bank without us even knowing. We're like, wait a minute, why am I humming that song still after
Yeah.
it's over? There's something to be said for that
Yeah.
that I like.
J'agree.
J'agree. And we got away from trivia there for a second. Did we do both
We did.
questions? We did. Okay. Oh yeah, it was Soul Patch, right?
Yeah.
That's what got us here.
That's what it,
Soul Patch, the journey of the Soul Patch
yeah.
got us to pontificating on how great we are as a people with the music that we have. Now, funny that you mentioned Chapel Rowan,
Mhm.
um, and probably not by accident. I know you, Kelly. Uh, she happens to be one of the biggest breakout stars of the now part of 90s now. And what's interesting is that she's suffering the same fate or just dealing with the same crap that that artists, specifically female artists, have to do. It's probably not just female artists, but the fact that she canceled some shows and then and took some pretty harsh criticism from people that felt they knew better
Hmm.
about where she stood in the business. I liked it was not built for fame was what they described as fans turned trolls. That was one of the comments made about her when she canceled shows because of stalker behavior from hardcore fans, which is that fine line. You know what? You share a lot of yourself and your life, and your fans identify with that
Hmm.
beyond the pop music equation. They're like, wait a minute, she's singing about me. I must know her. She must know me. Let me just, you know what? We probably will get along fine. I'll just try and talk to her. And then it sometimes when people aren't completely um, lucid in reality,
Hmm.
they take too many steps and they go too far. And she had to do what she had to do to prevent people from continuing to stalk her parents' home. And what it was that she snapped at a photographer.
Yeah.
Um, and not I resent the line "not built for fame" because the paparazzi and those overly assertive people that go for it in that way that they think they get to define what fame is.
Hmm.
You're just taking the pictures. Like, realize that.
Hmm.
The artist is the artist and their work is their art. That's what we like. We don't like the paparazzi. We don't like the invasive behavior. And so you don't get to then describe it as not built for fame
Hmm.
because there's probably some faction of that type of paparazzi that wants the fame.
Right.
So they're critical of the person that's not giving them what they want.
Hmm.
It's quite. I think it would be an interesting, uh, like a PhD study.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
1,000,000%.
it
Yeah.
would be a stack of, foot high stack of paper.
Yeah. And it has to be so weird for, and we've seen it been alluded to a little bit by some other artists like Taylor Swift and I think Justin Bieber and stuff like in some of their behind the scenes documentaries where like to have constant adoration is not normal.
No,
Like, how are you supposed to be like a regular human when people just tell you 24/7 how amazing you are?
yeah, that's why it's nice. I think we see Taylor Swift at award shows and stuff like that, and we see her with people that we don't necessarily recognize.
Hmm.
That they're her friends. I think her
Yeah.
friends that aren't celebrities.
Hmm.
Or we see her with friends that are celebrities. But either way, we see her. I think that those people aren't in a position where they have to say yes to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the danger of a lot of big celebrities is that they surround themselves with yes people, but it's not healthy.
Well, I think that was the downfall of Michael Jackson.
Hmm. For Chapel Rowan, though, she says that she's been responding to disrespect her whole life, and now it just so happens she's a pop star, and she handles it
Hmm.
clearly. She says, well, I thought it was interesting, though, the headline of this article where they quote her at the end of the article saying, I think actually I'd be more successful if I was okay wearing a muzzle. And funny, I'd be more successful. She's huge.
Yeah.
Maybe she would have been more successful sooner, but I don't know, man. Like, I think we have to watch that too because she is very successful.
Yeah. I think she's probably, I don't know if she's intoning that she could be bigger, but because she's spoken out, because she's taken care of herself, that there's been some hesitation maybe from people in the industry towards her because she's willing to take that stand. Like, I don't know, because she, like you said, she's massive.
Hmm.
But she's also, I think, ticked off some of her fan base because of putting her foot down, which you'd think they'd respect her more. But I think it's the people that you said that want to know her,
Yeah.
and she doesn't want that. So,
Well, no, and I think that you have to, as a fan, we're all fans of music, but as a fan, you have to realize that that's their art, that's their work,
mhm.
And that's a success story if you feel like you know them, if you feel like they're singing about you. But
Yeah.
that's where you have to draw the line
Yeah.
in reality and go, oh, I think there's more people that think like that. They probably think like, that's why you go to the shows and you see tens of thousands of people. They all think that she's singing about them too.
Yeah.
There's where your friends are. She's not on the stage, but you can make friends in the crowd.
Yeah. Which is, I think, what Taylor Swift has done.
Hmm.
Like all these Swifties very much have a connection to each other. And hopefully more fandoms will, I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's other fandoms that do that too. But I think Taylor's fandom has really embraced that where they're all buddies with each other. And I know
Yeah,
too, speaking from experience, I see and I know several Janet fans that make sure when they go to a concert, like the Vegas stuff, they'll go and meet up before the show and have dinner and catch up because all of them are from different parts of the states
right,
and some of them even from overseas. And then it's really cool to get like this mini reunion and then they enjoy the show and like that's all cool and whatever. And I've often wanted to be able to go, but usually it's not a show that I can go to. Uh,
right.
but so obviously, and I remember even too, it was just a couple of weeks ago, they had a Swiftie thing here in Montreal, which I thought was really cool. It was like this meetup for Montreal Swifties.
That's
And
cool.
and like obviously the Eras tour is over, but it just felt like I think they wanted to keep that connection.
Yeah,
And I just thought they were going to go skating. Like I actually mentioned it on my show because I'm like, if you're a Swiftie, like they're inviting everybody to go meet them like in the Quartier des Spectacles or whatever it was, and
yeah.
the date and the hour and go have a good time. I thought that was amazing. So
Well, it's cool that on the other side of things, as far as having you know, the wherewithal to say what's on your mind. I just talked about this on our show last week about how Chrissy Hind just before the holidays had sort of, I guess, snarked out at fans, people that see more than one show in a tour,
mhm.
basically saying it's nice to see you at our shows, but it would be nice if the locals could get up front,
Oh,
which is sort of thin ice territory because you're kind of dissing the people that are seeing multiple shows because they love you so much.
yeah.
But she basically, and she ended up apologizing, sort of saying, "We love what we do, and we love doing it for you, and we love you for coming.
Yeah.
We would just like it to be fair for everybody."
Right.
So for, fan number one to be in the same position at every single show, it sort of takes it away from the possibility of, local fan number one to get that
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah. That's a
Interesting though,
slippery.
but like there's a success story that she doesn't mind speaking her mind,
Yeah.
and then if she has to dial it back, she does.
That's a slippery slope though, like you said, because, sometimes you need the fans to keep going to multiple shows.
Yeah, true. And imagine the Pretenders have been at it for what, like 50 years now,
Wow.
almost. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we should move on because I did drop a big word like bovinophobia, and
Yep.
we should talk about how Kate Winslet has it.
Yeah.
And I think if anybody would be able to walk her through her fear of cows,
Yeah.
it would be you, Farmer Kelly.
I know. That's why I had that thought. So I thought I would bring this story to the table.
Hmm.
I actually laughed out loud when I when I read this. But you know what? She's partially not wrong. Uh, because you do have to be careful because she talks in the article that we read that,
Hmm.
if you're out in the middle of a field with cows, there's a potential that they could chase after you. And there is a potential for that, especially if they have babies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
moms are super protective. Um, but I mean, like for the most part, by and large, like it's all good times. But you
Hmm.
do have to be aware of that. And you do have to be aware if there's a bull in the field because you don't want to mess with that either. Because I remember when we were younger, we had a bull that did not enjoy our dog. And so he used to chase after her. And like, this is a fast fact for anybody who doesn't know, whether you're watching this or listening. Cows are actually quite fast. So they have some octane, especially if they want to get at you. And so they go real fast, real quick. And so
Whoa.
you don't want to mess with them. So yeah, my dog and I, who consequently, I think you know this already, her name was Kelly also. So Kelly and Kelly did some fast running to get out of the way. And just so we know, clear to clarify, we got Kelly when she already had her name. That's why she was named Kelly, because it wasn't some big ego trip on my part. But what was funny is sometimes people, my mom would yell Kelly, and we'd both come running. So she's great. She
Oh,
was a great dog. Yeah,
and that's why you got into radio.
that's exactly.
I love that Kate Winslet points out, though, that it was pointed out to her,
Yeah,
basically, that she had to keep an eye because, I think it's with no experience of having to run from a cow. I mean, this is your field,
yeah. Good job, Sharon.
pun intended.
Yeah.
Um, but she was like, "Well, what do you mean you have to if they turn on you?" And they point out that if their tails are swishing and they're flicking like that, and there's flies, that means they're not happy. They might charge you.
That I read that line. That doesn't entirely fly with me.
Pun intended from you
Yeah.
now.
It's
So
like
are you saying they don't give you a clue that they're kind of ticked off?
yeah, well, so that maneuver that you talked about is a definite, but if they're legit, like if you're watching from the road and you see a cow swishing their tail, it
Mm-hmm.
most likely is flies and they're just dealing with it. So they're not stressed, they're not upset, they're not going to chase you. The swishing of the tail comes like if you're close, they have a baby, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ticked off, and that's when you're going to be in trouble. But
Okay.
I've had cows come at me that were not swishing their tail at all. They
Oh.
just, you usually see it in their like demeanor, like it changes. They look stressed. Their eyes look a bit off. And oftentimes they will actually, if they're going to come at you, they will often shake their head first. They'll warn you that like you're too close. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of stuff. So it's not always the tail that's the telltale, if you will.
Uh-huh.
We are
So
so
here's a
funny.
we should be the 90s pun
Yeah.
podcast. Is there a way to, just out of curiosity, have you ever been able to calm a cow down?
Yeah, I mean, like, usually though, like again, like if you're in a situation where they have a baby,
Mm-hmm.
unless you really need to go, let's say, help the baby or whatever, you should back off and leave them alone. But there has been instances, for example, where my dad has had to go in to like, let's say the baby wasn't drinking properly or whatever. So you just kind of have to go in. And honestly, it's like that whole thing where you stand down a bear, where you just like you don't leave and you kind of show that you're in control. And then
Right.
they still might dance around you and be ticked, but they'll let you do what you need. But you have to have nerves of steel
Right.
because I've seen some pretty like upset cows like coming very close to my father, kind of dancing around, like, constantly, like, because they don't want him touching their baby,
Right.
but he's
Yeah.
trying to help them. But my dad is just like, he's such a farmer. Like, he's so zoned in on what he needs to do to help the baby that, like, he just has that attitude where, like, I'm doing it, whether you like it or not.
Well, there you go.
So that's how you deal. But again, if there's a cow that's annoyed, just stay away for the most part. So,
Well, and same with Kate Winslet. She says she's very wary of a field of cows.
yeah. I should take her on a cow watching expedition. Yeah. Yeah. Because actually, what's interesting is for just to finish off with this. So we on the farm have cows that in the summer they will often take let's say their afternoon siesta
Hmm.
underneath these stand of trees, which is right next to my grandma's house. And my grandma, who is 101, we take her out and we sit her down on this like swing set kind of thing, and she'll sit there and she watches them and they love having her just with them. So like they're usually like 99.9% of the time they're calm and they're chill. And if you exude that behavior, like you're good. So,
Cool.
yeah.
What a nice segue into the coolness of 1998
I love 1998.
for your 90s
Good
rewind.
job, Sharon.
And you're going to be even happier, Farmer Kel,
Okay.
because Janet Jackson,
Uh,
yeah, she was on the charts.
can I guess which song?
Yes.
Together again?
Yes.
Yay.
Together Again was at number three around this time in 1998. Beaut of a tune. Also, around this time in 1998, I'm thinking that song was, I have a real strong emotional attachment to that. And my mother,
Mhm.
because it was one of those songs that my mom passed in Christmas Eve of 97. So around this time in 98, it was, I think we were still dealing with the ice storm at that time.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was, the song would come on when I needed it. Excuse me. So I have a real affection for that song. Because it still works. So I sort of use it as my mother sending me a sign like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. Tub thumping, Chumbawamba. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Everybody thinks it's called that. It's not. It's called tub thumping. Destiny's Child took three negatives and turned it into a very positive career. No, no, no. Was a big yes for them. We talked about Backstreet Boys earlier, and Quit Playing Games with My Heart was coming through our speakers around this time in 1998.
Hmm.
And Colors of the World, spice up your life. We had our direct line to Spice Girls, who were making us feel like, heck yeah, about our girl power.
Yeah.
And new to the charts around this time in 1998 was a song that's now considered a band classic for Pearl Jam and Given to Fly.
Oh, I don't think I remember that song.
You do. You would just have to hear it.
Okay, I'll hear it.
Yeah, there's so much about, I mean, the fact that Pearl Jam is still making music and
Mhm.
touring and actively, you know, creating this many years later, I think is a great testament to what they've always done, which is be true to themselves.
Hmm.
And that is your 90s rewind.
Good job, Sharon. And just a Spice Girls reference, as of our recording today, Emma Bunton is celebrating a birthday. So
Oh, very
happy
good.
birthday, baby Spice.
Happy birthday, baby.
Yeah. And what I love is that all the Spice Girls, well, I didn't see all of them, but I saw Mel B and Mel C um, wish her a very happy birthday with some nice pictures on their Instagrams. And I'm assuming the other ones did as well. It just, those showed up in my feed today. So
Fun.
it's very sweet.
Nice.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, for anybody that was planning on seeing the Black Eyed Peas in Vegas, they're calling the cancellation of their tour to their dearest Peabodies, which is what they call their fans. Uh, their Las Vegas residency has been canceled due to current circumstances. And pardon my ignorance, but what does that mean?
That I actually asked that question on my show yesterday because I was like, does that mean that some of them or all of them or one of them has been affected by the Los Angeles wildfires? Or is it that somebody has a headache? Like they don't,
Are they not selling tickets? Is that would be a circumstance?
that would be a circumstance. So they were very, very, and everybody seems to have picked up on on that, like the vagueness of
Well,
that.
it's interesting too because they talk about how ticket providers are going to give you a full refund and stay tuned for updates on future performances by following us. We can't wait to see you again. What?
Yeah.
Maybe take this time and explain what you're talking about.
Yeah. I wish that I don't know that it'll happen and they do have the replacement, but I think Fergie needs to come back in order for them to like, I mean, they have had success because like we were playing, what was it, Mamacita, like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they've had some hits, there's no question. And that was, I think her name is J Soul, is the replacement, like the new girl that they have. And she's
Oh yeah.
sings amazing. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know if it's my perception, but you can, I think they're missing Fergie's attitude and like
Yeah.
just the spark that she brings. I
Yeah.
don't mean bad attitude, just Fergie has a
No.
presence.
Yeah. Spunky energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And attitude is a great word because it's often misunderstood, like, or it's used as a term, you've got an attitude problem or you've got
Yeah.
attitude. You can own the power of that word, and she does.
Yeah, yeah, because an amazing vocalist, and she's like you said, there's the spark. She's sassy,
Mm-hmm.
she's funky, like all of
She's
that.
Fergie.
She's Fergie, so I think it'd be good if
She's
she.
Fergie with her lovely lady
Yeah,
lumps.
she's Fergalicious, Sharon.
I'm just quoting the music.
What a great line, Lady Lumps.
Hmm. Sounds like something you'd go to the doctor for. Instead, you'll go to happy hour with them.
Yeah. On that note,
On that note, keeping it PG. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for finding us and commenting and questions, anything like that. You can feel free to drop us a line. We'll be friends with you
Yeah.
on social media. But finding us wherever it is that you do and then passing it on. We love that you listen and we appreciate it very much. So thank you for listening to 90s Now, still happening.